Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to Of Dice and Third Baseman. And today we're going to start a series of a 1919 National League Game of the Week. This will be a weekly look in on my replay of the 1919 National League season. Those of you that have kept an eye on my blog over the past year or so will remember that I finished the American League 1919 late last year, and the White Sox ran away with the American League flag, and so they patiently await the winner of the National League campaign to decide who they'll meet in the 1919 World Series. We're in the first week of the season. It's the first Sunday, April 27th, 1919, and today we're going to head out to what was known at the time as Redland Field, later Crosley Field in Cincinnati, for a Sunday afternoon tilt between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds. As I said, it's early in the season. Each team's played one series. The Pirates lost 2 of 3 on the road to the Cubs. And the Reds, one of the favorites on the season, began the season at home and swept 4 games from the so far hapless St. Louis Cardinals. So the Reds come in to this afternoon's action still undefeated, and Pittsburgh looking to get things going. So let's head down to the field and take a look at today's starting lineups. The Pirates will send out Howdy Caton to lead off and play shortstop, Max Carey in center, Casey Stengel in right, Billy Southworth in left, George Cutshaw at second, Tony Beckel at third, Fritz Mollwitz at first, Walter Schmidt behind the plate, and 27-year-old lefty Earl Hamilton, an 8-game winner in real life, on the hill for the Pirates. The Reds will counter with Morrie Rath leading off at second, Greasy Neal in the 2-hole playing right field, Heine Groh at third, Ed Roush in center, Sherry McGee in left, Jake Daubert at first base, Larry Kopf at shortstop, Bill Raridan behind the plate, and 25-year-old lefty Dutch Ruther, a 19-game winner in real life, pitching for the Reds. So in this lineup, I've given real-life stats. Once we get about a month or so into the season, I'll start replacing these with up-to-date stats from the replay itself. Okay then, without further ado, let's head down to the field and get this game started. Howdy Caton will step in and look out at Dutch Ruther for the first pitch of today's ball game. That's a 372, and that's a bouncer to short, and Caton is retired. And Max Carey will stand in. 319, that is a swing and a miss for Carey. Two away in the top of the first, and Casey Stengel will step in. 634. Go to the stadium chart. And that is a bouncer to second base. And Morrie Rath will flip it over to first for the out that retires the side. So we'll head to the bottom of the first. And the Reds will have their first crack at bat, and second baseman Morrie Rath will lead it off. 660. At home, that's a 670. And Rath takes one on the hip. So the second baseman trots down to first. We've got a 9 on the auto manager die, so Rath will be holding at first. And Greasy Neil is a bunt 7 and a power and contact 4, so he's going to try to lay down the sacrifice. That's 14, 15, a 22 on the bunt chart, which is a sacrifice hit, third to first. So Rath goes down to second. One away, and Hamilton will pitch to Heinegro. 180. That's going to be a bloop single. So Rath will hold up at third. Now the Reds have runners at the corners and one out. Gross speed is a 7. The auto manager die is a 6, so he's going to try to get the jump to steal second. His steal is 7, and Hamilton's hold is a 4, so we need a 7 or better. He is going. He's speed 2, and Pirates catcher Walter Schmidt is arm 6, so he needs a 14 or better to steal. And he's in there. So Groh steals second. Rath holds at third, and now Rush is still at the plate with one away and runners at second and third. The infield will play back. 581. That's a fly ball out to Carey in center field. He will make the catch, and Rath will challenge his arm. Rath is an arm 3. Carey is a center field arm 6. So we'll need a 13 or better to beat the throw home. And he just does it. A close play at the plate. So it's a sacrifice fly for Roush. Groh holds second. And there's 2 down with a runner at second for Sherry McGee. 684. At home is a 694. Whoops, sorry about that. And that is a base hit that'll score Groh from second for the second run of the game for the Reds. And that'll bring up Jake Daubert with a runner at first and 2 away. 560, and that'll be a bouncer to shortstop. And Caton will flip it to Cutshaw with a force. And the Reds are retired. But they get 2 runs on 2 hits, and they leave a man. And we go to the top of the second. Cincinnati already ahead by a score of 2-0. And that'll bring Billy Southworth to the plate. That's a 241 against a lefty. And that's popped in foul ground to third base. Heinegro is there, and he makes the catch from the first out. George Cutshaw will stand in. 456 against a lefty. That's a bouncer to short. And Tony Beckles. 166. And Beckel draws a walk from Dutch right there. Fritz Molwitz, the first baseman. 449 against a lefty. That's hit hard on the ground back to the pitcher, and he will take the easy out at first to retire the Pirates quickly in the second. And Cincinnati will come up in the bottom of the inning, and they'll have shortstop Larry Koff leading it off. Hamilton looks in and delivers. That's a 433 against a lefty, and Koff hits it back into the box. Another put out for the pitcher, or assist for the pitcher, and that's one away. And the catcher, Bill Raritan, will stand in. .104. Again, hit up the middle and stabbed by Hamilton. He'll take a few steps to first and underhand it. Over to first baseman Fritz Malwitz, and there's 2 away for Cincinnati in the second. And Dutch Ruther will get a chance to swing the bat. 679. At home, that's a 689. And Dutch laces a single. So 2 away and the pitcher on first. And Morrie Rath will come up. He was hit by a pitch in the first inning and scored. 472 against a lefty. This time he hits it on the ground to second. Cutshot will flip it to Caton for the force. And the Reds are retired. 2-0 as we head to the top of the third. And Pirates catcher Walter Schmidt got his first chance to swing the bat today. 531, that's hit on the ground to Daubert at first. And that's a routine play. He'll take it himself. And there's 1 away. And Hamilton will stand in. Not much of a hitter for a pitcher. 191, and he's contact 1, so that'd be a swing and a miss, third strike. As Dutch sets down his counterpart with ease. And we go to the top of the order and Howdy Caton. Howdy not off to a great start so far in the 1919 season. He's 0 for 13 so far in the Pirates' first 4 games. So he'll look for his first hit here. That's a 553, and that's a bouncer to Heine Groh at third. And that's a fairly routine play. As Groh takes a step to his left and slings it over to first for the third out. Still nothing doing for the Bucks. And the Reds will come up in the bottom of the third, and they'll have right fielder Greasy Neal to lead it off. 489 against a lefty. And Neal hits the line drive, but right at the center fielder, Max Carey. He hardly has to move, and he puts it away for the first out. Bring up Heine Groh. He singled, stole a base, and scored in the first inning. 223 against a righty. That's a hard grounder to second. Cutshaw's up with it and over to first, and there's 2 down. And Ed Rausch stands in. He knocked in a run with a sacrifice fly his first time up. 265 versus a lefty. And that's skied to right. That's a can of corn for Casey Stengel. And the Reds go in order in the third. So we're through 3 innings here at Redland Field. And the Reds lead the Pirates by the score of 2-0. And Max Carey will step in for the Pirates. 533, that's hit to Daubert again. Again, no problem for Jake. He will wave off the pitcher. Step on the bag for the first out of the 4th inning. That brings up the aforementioned Casey Stengel. 529. That's to Raritan's card. Potential pass ball, but the bases are empty. Oh, Stengel will get another shot. That's a 239 against a left-handed batter. That's a line drive caught by the third baseman, Groh. And there's 2 away. So Stengel hit it well, but right at the fielder, and the atom ball is the second out of the inning. That'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Billy Southworth. 247 against a lefty. He hits to third as well, but this one's up in the air. Grow 2 or 3 steps to his left. And he puts it away for the final out of the inning. And the Pirates are retired on the top of the 4th. They still trail by a score of 4-0. And they've managed only 1 base runner in the first 4 innings, as Ruther has been dominant on the mound thus far. And the Reds will come up at the bottom of the 4th, and they'll be led off by Sherry McGee. It's a 428 against a lefty. That is a swing and a miss. Jake Darbert will step in. He is 0 for 1 with a fielder's choice. 251 against a lefty. That's a 591. Stengel's got a range 6, so he'll make an easy catch. And Larry Kopp steps in with 2 outs and nobody on. 139. The shortstop looks at ball 4 from Hamilton. So the Reds get a base runner ahead of the catcher, Bill Raritan. That's a 158. And that is a walk. So suddenly Hamilton loses the plot as far as command goes, and he puts 2 men on with 2 out with Dutch Reuther coming up. Dutch could swing the bat a little bit. He hit 258 in 1919. We'll see what he does here with 2 runners on the pond. It's a 464, and he is an I3, and that's going to be popped up just down the left field foul line. Tony Beckel will go a couple of steps into foul ground, and he'll make the catch to retire the side. So Reuther misses the chance to help himself by swinging the bat. The Reds don't score in the 4th, and we head to the top of the 5th. Still Cincinnati 2 and Pittsburgh 0. George Cutshaw will step in for his second at bat. He grounded out to short his first time. 281 against a righty, and that's hit well to left field. Cutshaw is power 1. Show you the dice first. That's 10, so that's 11 to left field. That's a base hit. It's also a chance for the batter to stretch to second. The auto manager die is below Cutshaw's speed, so he's going to try to stretch it into a double. Cutshaw is a speed 4, and McGee's arm in left field is a 2. So Cutshaw only needs an 8 or better to turn this into a double, and he does. So hits it hard, and then aggressive base running. Gives the Pirates their first hit of the game and their first man in scoring position, as Tony Beckel will come up with a runner at second. Nobody out, and Cutshaw standing at second. This might be a bunt situation here. No. Beckel's a bunt 5 and power and contact 4, so that difference is a 1. The auto manager says you need a 2 to sacrifice with a runner at second and nobody out. So Beckel will swing away. That's a 456 against a lefty. And that's a little dribbler in front of the mound. The catcher Raritan will come out and get it. And he will throw to first to retire Beckel. But Cutshaw will move up to third. So runner in third, 1 out. Molwitz at the bat. The infield will play back for Cincinnati. So that's a 1-19. And that's hit on the ground to first base. Darbert will flip to Ruther covering, and Cutshaw will trot home with the first run of the game for the Pirates. So the leadoff double pays off for Pittsburgh. They get on the board. They trail 2-1. They have the bases empty with 2 away, and the catcher Walter Schmidt comes up. He grounded to first, his turn, first time up. That's a 6-23. And that is skied to center field, where it's taken easily by Ed Roush, and the side is retired. But Pittsburgh cuts the lead in half in the 5th. We're halfway done here at Redland Field, and the Reds now have a 1-run lead over Pittsburgh, 2-1 Cincinnati. And they'll go to the top of the order in Morrie Rath. He's been hit by a pitch and hit into a fielder's choice. 128, and Morrie will skip that along the ground to second base. Cutshaw is up with it, and he throws to first for the out. Gracie Neal steps in. He is sacrificed and flied to center. 427 against a lefty. That's another chopper in front of the plate. Schmidt is out. He gloves it, and he whips it down to first to retire Greasy. And there's 2 away, and Heine Groh step in for Cincinnati. 275. That is going to be hit well to left field. Groh is power 4. We've got 8. So that's a 12 to left. And that's going to get down the line and into the corner for a double. So a 2-out double for Heine Groh. And that'll bring up the dangerous Ed Roush with a man in scoring position and 2 away. Roush hit a sacrifice fly and skied to right. 433 against a lefty. And Roush hits a 3-harper to second. Cutshaw has it, and he flips it over to Molwitz at first to retire the Reds without damage. So the double goes to waste, and we go to the top of the 6th, with Cincinnati still ahead by a score of 2-1. And the pitcher Hamilton will step in. 106, that's a 306, and Ruther gets him looking at the called third strike. So Hamilton's been up twice, and he's fanned twice. 2 of Dutch's 3 Ks on the afternoon, and now Howdy Caton gets his 3rd crack. He's grounded to short and grounded to third. 413, and that's a base on balls. The leadoff hitter does his job. Caton goes down to first. No chance of him running. So Carey will step in. He is struck out and grounded out. 340. And that's going to be a dribbler by Carey to the right of the mound, and it's going to be no play for Ruther, and it's going to be an infield hit. So suddenly Dutch is in a spot of bother here. The Pirates have 1 out and runners at first and second, and their 3 and 4 hitters coming up. And Casey Stengel is grounded out and lined out. Chance to get his club back in the game here. 279 against a lefty, and that's hit deep to center. Stengel is a power 2, and 11 is 13. 13 to center field is a fly ball that's gonna hang up there for Ed Roush, and he'll make the catch. And the runners hold. So there's now 2 down, still 2 men on, and Southworth will get his chance. Billy's popped to third twice so far this afternoon. Rather looks and deals. That's a 5.36. That's hit down to Jake Daubert at first. And he's not going to get it, and that gets through into right field for a base hit. Caton is a 3-speed at second base. Neal is a 6-arm in right field. The auto manager says you always try to score with 2 outs. So Caton will need a 13 or better to beat the throw home. Oh, wrong die. 13 or better to beat the throw. And he doesn't do it. So it's a single to right field for Southworth, but Caton is cut down at home with the tying run for the final out of the inning. So the Pirates make some noise, but do not score. And we'll go to the bottom of the 6th now. The score is still Cincinnati 2 and Pittsburgh 1. Sherry McGee will stand in. He singled a knock in to run and struck out. 489 against a lefty. That's a line drive to center. Be no problem out there for Max Carey, and he takes it into the glove for the first out, and Jake Daubert will come to the plate. He is 0 for 2 so far. 696 at home is going to be a 706. That's hit deep to center field. Daubert is a power 0, so that's 12 to center, and that's smacked for a double. And Daubert will stick at second. The 1-out 2-bagger. And that'll bring up Larry Kopf. The Red shortstop is grounded back to the pitcher and drew a walk. Hamilton delivers. 328. And that's another chopper on the infield. That's hit towards the third baseman. And all Beckel's going to be able to do is scoop it up off the ground and watch Kopf take first. That's an infield single. Daubert will move on to third. And Bill Raridan will come up with runners at first and third. 1 out. And Pittsburgh will bring the infield in. Daubert's a slow runner. He's only a speed of 1 at third, so he will not go on contact. The pitch to Raridan. 547. That's hit out to Cutshaw and past his outstretched glove into right field for a base hit. And Cincinnati gets their third run. So Daubert scores. Kopf will move up to second. First and second, 1 away. And Dutch Reuther at the bat. First and second, 1 out. He will swing away. .133. That's going to be a bouncer to second. And Cutshaw will flip to short for the force. So Raridan's retired at second. Kopf will move on to third. And Reuther will take the place of the runner at first. So 2 away, first and third. And Morrie Rath, who's 0 for 2 with a hit by pitch. 358. And that's skied on the infield. Howdy Caton takes a step back onto the outfield grass, and he will make the catch that retires the side. But the Reds get another run to stretch their advantage to 3-1 as we head to the 7th. And Hamilton will be vulnerable to fatigue after 6 innings. So we go to the top of the 7th. Pittsburgh now down by 2 runs. And George Cutshaw will stand in. Dutch kicks and deals. That's a 292. So Cutshaw hits that well to left field. He's a power 1. And 6 more is 7. That's a double for Cutshaw. His second double of the game. And just like that, the Pirates make some noise in response to the Reds' run in the bottom of the previous inning. And Tony Beckel will stand in. That's a 585. That's hit out to Roush in center. And he will make the catch. Cutshaw will hold at second. And that'll bring up Molwitz. That's a 362. And Fritz hits that pretty well on the ground, right at Heine Groh. Groh will look Cutshaw back at second and throw the ball over to first for the second out. And that'll leave the inning up to Walter Schmidt. He's ground out to first and flied to center. 662. And that'll be hit back to the mound. Arthur has it, trots toward first, flips it underhand to Daubert. And that's the end of the inning. So the Cincinnati hurler responds to the threat. The Pirates get nothing in the 7th. And we're to the 7th inning stretch with the score, the Cincinnati Reds 2 and the Pittsburgh Pirates 1. We're going to use the 7th inning stretches of these 1919 National League Games of the Week to learn a little bit more about the men that made the deadball era of baseball interesting and memorable. This really was an interesting and exciting time in the game, a time when baseball was rife with rough and tumble personalities, crazy nicknames, and men whose interesting backgrounds really were a cross-section of burgeoning and growing America at the turn of the century. The first player we're going to meet in this series is Cincinnati second baseman Morrie Rath. Morris Charles Rath was born in Texas in 1887, but he grew up in Philadelphia after his mother left his father and moved east. He was a 3-sport star in high school, and he attended Swarthmore College for 1 year where he played football and basketball. He started his pro career with Wilmington in the Class D Eastern League in 1908, and he was promoted to Class C at the end of that season. In 1909, he moved up to Class B ball, where he happened to take over the third position in Reading that had been held down by Home Run Baker the previous season, and he did well enough that his contract was sold to the Philadelphia Athletics at the end of the campaign. He played his first big league games at the tail end of the A's season, and he collected his first major league hit off of none other than Hall of Famer Ed Walsh. What seemed to be a quickly blossoming career stalled out the following year, however. Although Rath made the A's out of spring training, he was used sparingly, and Connie Mack traded him to Cleveland for outfielder Briss Lord in July, famously the same deal in which Mack also relinquished his rights to a 22-year-old player to be named later from South Carolina by the name of Joe Jackson. Things didn't go any better for Morrie in Cleveland, and he was sold to Class A Baltimore in August. He tore up A-ball for 2 years, and he got another chance, this time with the White Sox in 1912. He had a great year, leading the league in games played and plate appearances and finishing third in walks, while being one of the best defensive infielders in the league. But a diving injury during spring camp in 1913, and what might have been concussion-related complications, derailed what appeared to be a promising career again. He struggled all season and was sent back down to Kansas City of the American Association by Chicago in August. This was the start of a 4-year stint in the high minors where Rath hit over 300 each year, winning the Pacific Coast League batting crown for Salt Lake City in 1917, and the Reds finally picked him up at the end of that season. But Rath instead decided to enlist in the Naval Reserve, and he spent the next year or so stationed as a wireless operator in Philadelphia and playing ball for the 4th Naval District team, which made headlines in the day by defeating the Athletics in a game in May of 1918. So when the spring of 1919 rolled around, Rath had not played in a major league game in more than 5 years, as he reported to Reds camp. After an injury, though, he got a chance at the full-time second baseman job, and he grabbed it with both hands, posting a .343 on-base percentage and outstanding defense at second base, while serving as the leadoff hitter for the Reds' championship club. It was Rath's hit by pitch on the second delivery of Game 1 of the World Series that year that was the signal that Eddie Cicotte and the Black Sox were on the take. He had another good year in 1920, but Reds management began to look elsewhere, partly due to an overload of lefty hitters, but also partly due to his complete lack of power. He had only 29 extra base hits in 1,200 plate appearances over those 2 seasons, and he was dealt back to the Pacific Coast League in January of 1921. He was 34 by then, and decline was coming quickly for him. He hit .260 in the PCL, but his lack of thump was so obvious that the opposition brought their outfielders into play so shallowly that it appeared to onlookers that he had to, quote, hit the ball through 2 infields, end quote. By the end of the season, the writing was on the wall, and he retired from baseball in December. Morrie returned to Philadelphia, played semi-pro ball, and ran a sporting goods store in the suburbs until he committed suicide in 1945 after a prolonged illness. Bill James wrote of Rath in his second baseball historical abstract that, quote, he spent almost all of his career in the minor leagues just because his skills were too subtle for the men who managed the major league teams, end quote. His speed, batting eye, and defensive abilities combined to make him a valuable player who spent the best years of his career in the minor leagues, but had 1 season of major league glory as a key part of a title-winning ball club. All right, we head to the bottom of the 7th. Greasy Neal will lead it off for the Reds. Hamilton delivers. That's a .521. And nice bit of catching there by Walter Schmidt, and it's called strike 3. That's Hamilton's second strikeout of the day. And Heine Groh will come to the plate. He singled, doubled, and grounded out. .469 against a lefty. And Groh rips that one to center field. It's going to get past Carey and go all the way to the wall. Groh will round second, and he'll slide into third with a triple. So Heine's collecting the set today. He's got a single, a double, and a triple, and 4 times at the plate. And that'll bring up Ed Roush with a runner at third and 1 out. Pittsburgh will play the infield in. And Cincinnati will send Groh on contact. Now here's the pitch to Roush. 219 is a .419 against a lefty. And that's a grounder to second. And the only play will be at first. As Groh scampers home. Roush is retired, but Cincinnati gets its 4th run of the game to take a 4-1 lead. Now Pittsburgh had the infield in, but it was a high chop that Kutchuk fielded, but had no chance to get Groh at the plate, and so he takes the out at first. And now Cincinnati has 2 away and nobody on, and Sherry McGee at the plate. That's a 266 to a righty, and that's hit well to center field. McGee is power 0. So a total of 6. And that's a base hit for Sherry McGee. So the Reds left fielder gets his second hit of the game. And Cincinnati has a man at first with 2 away. And Jake Daubert at the plate. He is 1 for 3 with a double. That's a 110, and that's a bouncer to first that Molwitz will flip to the pitcher covering to retire Daubert and the Reds. But for the second inning in a row, Cincinnati tacks on an insurance run, and they now have a 3-run lead as we go to the top of the 8th. And Earl Hamilton, who's pitched reasonably well, he's not really near fatigue 4 yet, so he'll stay in and he'll bat leadoff, as was often done back in these days. And Rather will pitch. That's a 642. And that's grounded to third. Heine Groh has it, and he flips to first. The first out of the inning. And Pittsburgh goes back to the top of the order. And Howdy Caton will stand in. He has 2 groundouts and a walk. 683. And that is grounded through the infield for a base hit. So Caton's aboard for the second time. Again, not a running threat. And Max Carey will be up. He's 1 for 3 with a single. 521. Raritan gloves that one on the outside corner, and the umpire raises his hand for a called third strike. 4th strikeout of the game for Dutch. And that's Stengel with 2 outs and a runner at first. 475 against a lefty. Casey hits that pretty well, but right at the first baseman. And Daubert will take himself to the bag for the 3rd out of the inning. And Pittsburgh gets a man on but doesn't score. And they still trail 4-1 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. And leading it off for Cincinnati will be shortstop Larry Koff, who singled, walked, and grounded out. 369. That's a line drive hit out to left, but Southworth is there. He makes the catch for the 1st out of the inning. And catcher Bill Raritan will stand in. He's walked and singled in 3 trips. 298. Raritan hits that one well to left. He has 1 power. And 5 is 6. And he bloops that one into left field for his 2nd hit of the game. So Raritan on first. 1 out. And Reuther at the plate, and Dutch will swing away. 585. That's hit out to Carey in center. And he will make the catch. Runner holds at first. Two away. And Morrie Rath, the Reds' leadoff hitter, He is 0 for 3 with a hit by pitch, and has scored a run. 141. That's a base on balls. Nothing doing on the auto manager die. Pittsburgh with the arm 6 catcher Walter Schmidt behind the plate. Kind of tamping down the running game, so Neal will swing away. That's a 496 against a lefty, and that is skied to center. No trouble at all for Max Carey. He makes the catch to retire the side. We head to the top of the 9th inning. Cincinnati leading 4-1. Pittsburgh needs 3 runs. They've only managed 5 hits so far off Dutch Reuther. But Billy Southworth will stand in, see if he can change the fortunes around for Pittsburgh. It's a 589. That's hit out to Roush in center. And that'll be a leadoff base hit for the Pittsburgh left fielder. So hope springs eternal for the Buccos. And Cutshaw will come up. George has had a fine game for Pittsburgh. He's doubled twice in 3 trips. That's 422 against a lefty. This time he hits it on the ground to shortstop. Koff has it. He underhands to Rath to get the force at second. And that'll be the first Pittsburgh out. And Cutshaw takes the place of Southworth at first, but now there's 1 down, and Tony Beckel will stand in. 534. That's hit to Daubert. He will do it all himself. That's a second out of the 9th inning, and Cutshaw will move up to second. And that'll bring Fritz Mollwarts to the plate. And Pittsburgh is going to pinch hit. Walter Barbari will come in to pinch hit. And Reuther will try to close it out here. The kick and the deal. That's a 620. Plus 20 for fatigue is a 640. Oh, wrong chart. That is grounded to second. Rath up with it, and he will throw over to first for the 3rd out of the game. And that's it. Cincinnati wins the game by a score of 4-1. Take a look at the box score. So it's 4-10-0 for the Reds, 1-6-0 for the Pirates. The winning pitcher is Dutch Reuther. The losing pitcher is Earl Hamilton. Player of the game was Heine Groh of the Reds. He had a single, a double, and a triple, and scored 2 runs. And Eddie Roush in the cleanup spot knocked in 2 runs. So Cincinnati goes to 5-0 on the season. The Pirates fall to 1-3 as the Reds get off to a flying start in the pennant race. And that'll be it for this week's Game of the Week in the 1919 National League. We will see you next week with another contest. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we will see you later.